I would argue that K-pop is more so about charisma and character at the very forefront of the entire package, as we've seen K-pop companies say all the time that they prefer the untrainable attributes in idols over physically trained talents, in which Sakura brings plenty to Le Sserafim. K-pop, as it operates in terms of performance, Sakura is pulling her weight, right? She's not bringing the other members down. I mean, that might be a contentious point. Some people might disagree with that, but it's not like she's putting in zero effort, which I think would be a completely different situation if that were the case. I'm apprehensive in the wake of all of this criticism that it gets lost as to what all Sakura brings to this group as an individual, right? I'm not saying you should stop expecting idols to be talented, but given the nature of the industry, I also don't think it's productive to cause an uproar over a lack of ability in certain areas. I don't think Le Sserafim or Sakura will benefit from this type of criticism in the end, which makes me question who does benefit from it. Why is this criticism necessary is my question to you if you have that understanding. My main point that I want to impress here is that Sakura is very obviously trying, right? I would completely understand the criticism if she wasn't putting in the effort or the energy to perform, but that is not the case. She is clearly putting in all of her energy into these performances. Sakura once again has been criticized for her vocal abilities on music show encores, and my main question in the wake of all of this is who benefits from this criticism. I'm asking this and bringing this up with very honest intentions. I'm not approaching this from the perspective of a scorned Sakura fan. I've never had a bias towards her. I've just been a fan of IZ*ONE and now Le Sserafim, and all of this criticism has me thinking seriously about what it is that people expect from K-pop. When I look back on Produce 48 especially, despite all of the riggings, Sakura was arguably always set to debut with IZ*ONE and finish the show with very high rankings. Out of all of the trainees on the show, Sakura was one of the most preferred as an idol, and she has been for quite a long time in her career. The reason why I mention this, well, Produce 48 is a little muddy because of the rigging, but really, any K-pop survival show or K-pop group formation process can show that K-pop is not just a singing and dancing competition. Oftentimes, I would say most of the time, it's very far from that. Singing and dancing is certainly a huge component of K-pop, but so many other moving parts go into becoming a K-pop idol that sometimes, actually more often than not, things like charisma or personal character can overpower physically trained talents and be seen as more desirable in an industry like K-pop. We've seen this time and time again, and before I go on, I want to say that it's fine if people decide not to stan Sakura or Le Sserafim because of their performance abilities or lack thereof, but when you take that viewpoint publicly to criticize them, my question is, who benefits from that criticism? Is it Sakura or Le Sserafim at large? I personally don't think so. I realize my position here is a bit radical. I do recognize that the majority of an idol's career is performance-based, but hear me out. There's a notable lack of demand for artistic input on behalf of the idols in the K-pop industry. This isn't always the case, as we see groups like Stray Kids who have full command over their musical sound, or even Yoonjin from Le Sserafim, who I would consider a K-pop idol and also a very talented musical artist. She's a K-pop idol, but she's also very clearly here for the art. She is a writer, right? The vast majority of K-pop idols are not artists, though, and I would argue that they don't even consider themselves to be artists. The clashing of ideals here, I guess, is whether or not K-pop idols need to be good performers. Here's where the complexity comes in for me. Some K-pop idols are artists, some are performers, some are vocalists, and some are just simply idols. There are several pillars that make up what K-pop is in my mind, and my defense for Sakura and any other K-pop idol is that I don't blame any given idol for not filling up all of those pillars. It's quite impressive, very impressive actually, for idols who can fill all of them up, but I don't consider that to be the standard. In an industry like K-pop, I consider all-rounders a very commendable exception in the industry because the industry does not require or prioritize all-rounders. I think it's fine, absolutely fine, to decide that you don't appreciate Le Sserafim or Sakura if they can't deliver a good vocal performance on a music show, but bringing it to discuss in the public feels disingenuous. My argument here is that publicly criticizing an idol's performance ability is unproductive given the nature of what K-pop actually advertises itself as. It would be different if K-pop built itself as all about the talent, but I would say K-pop has not been about the talent for a very long time. Talent, as we've seen, is not very lucrative. in a world like K-pop, where I often see the most vocally talented members in a group being biased the least on average. I would argue that K-pop is more so about charisma and character at the very forefront of the entire package, as we've seen K-pop companies say all the time that they prefer the untrainable attributes in idols over physically trained talents, in which Sakura brings plenty to Le Sserafim. K-pop, as it operates in terms of performance, Sakura is pulling her weight, right? She's not bringing the other members down. I mean, that might be a contentious point. Some people might disagree with that, but it's not like she's putting in zero effort, which I think would be a completely different situation if that were the case. Sakura has reconciled with her own attributes many times before. We know that she requests for less lines on the Seraphim songs and so on. I guess I'm apprehensive in the wake of all of this criticism that it gets lost as to what all Sakura brings to this group as an individual, right? I would say it's completely fine to only want to stan all-rounder idols. It's fine to wish for Sakura to be a better vocalist, but less fine to publicly criticize any idol who doesn't meet those standards. Again, it's fine to want K-pop to be that kind of industry and to expect good performance ability before standing a group, but I would argue that's not going to change the nature of K-pop as an industry or what K-pop companies expect in their groups as they develop over time. As I have seen, some idols can be a part of the K-pop idol industry for years or even decades and either neither improve their performance abilities or in some cases might even regress in their talents. Genuinely, for an individual who is singing, dancing, and performing most days of the year, but never improves in their performance ability, I believe that has to be because K-pop does not demand or prioritize talent, and again, people are absolutely allowed to draw their own conclusions about that. You can insist that it should be about the talent, but I don't think this criticism is at all going to change the industry. So, again, my main question is who benefits from the criticism in the end? I don't really have a definitive answer to that. It's kind of why I wanted to bring up this discussion. If anybody happens to watch this and has an opinion or anything you'd like to add, I'll definitely be interested to hear what you think. I think that's all from me, my understanding of the K-pop industry. Once again, I'm not saying you should stop expecting idols to be talented, but given the nature of the industry, I also don't think it's productive to cause an uproar over a lack of ability in certain areas. I don't think Le Sserafim or Sakura will benefit from this type of criticism in the end, which makes me question who does benefit from it. Why is this criticism necessary is my question to you if you have that understanding. Yeah. Thank you for watching this. Subscribe if you want to, and I'll see you next time.